Hey, welcome to the fine print, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Caleb Teskey. My guest here tonight is having a little bit of trouble updating his computer, and we're running a little bit behind schedule, which I apologize for. We had to bump this back because he had some things to deal with at work. So I'm just gonna pop in here, and I'm gonna fill some time with some riffs here. I do want to thank everybody who tuned in to my previous interview, man, with the guys from Mr. Z Craft, Zach Tyson, Ron Williams, and Max Eingorn. I thought that was a fantastic interview, and I'm going to be smoking on some of their yellow cab again tonight here. I think those guys represent themselves really well in an interview, and I really like what they're about. And I thought that went fantastically well. I also want to thank everyone who tuned in to the interview with Dan Pomerantz from Rebel Grown. Once again, you know, I know Dan is sort of a divisive figure for some reason, but I always enjoy talking to Dan. I always learn something new every time I talk to him, and I feel like he has a lot to share in terms of cultivation experience. We had another great interview with Rebecca Garrell from the United Community Church talking about the breakfast program they do here in town and the grant they just received to continue their services to help support the community. Also, and I'm going to go slow here because I feel like Tom's having a rough time updating his computer. But I got a lot of stuff coming up, and I'd like to just shamelessly plug that. Also, here's another great interview I did with Kate Orman, who is the GTI employee who was robbed and assaulted at work in Maryland. I really like to thank Kate for her time. I thought that was another great interview, and I hope we can catch up again sometime down the road here. Coming up, it's been a long day. I've been in a weed field for 4 days straight, just harvesting. I don't know how you outdoor growers do it, man. Just standing in a field with no shade. I wish there was some shade, but unfortunately, cannabis cultivators don't really like shade in their fields. They want all the sun they can get. So coming up, I want to run down the list here. It's a great list we got coming up, and one of them's tomorrow, October 2nd. We got Joe Veldon from 7 Leaf Genetics in Hyde Park, Vermont. I met Joe. We were supposed to meet at a restaurant here, but they were closed. So we just sat on the street and talked for about an hour. And Joe seems like he's got a lot of experience in helping maybe design facilities or build them out, and consulting and also cultivation. So I'm super excited to have Joe on the show. We got Tom's hitting me up now. He said, fuck, it's still loading. All right, we'll get there. Thursday, October 5th, I got Brennan from Bigfoot Flower Company. Some of you guys may have seen Brennan's videos. Brennan does reviews of local cannabis companies, and you know, he's usually in his car or at home taking a bong hit and telling us about the local flower around the state. And he's sampled a ton of different products. And, you know, I'm super excited. I've never interviewed anybody who just does reviews before, but I'm very excited to have Brennan on the show. He seems like a great guy. We've talked on the phone once or twice, and that's going to be a fun one too. A little less, everything gets very serious here. So I'm psyched just to hear about some other people's take on how the flower's going here in Vermont. On October 8th, that's next Sunday at 7 p.m., I've got Josh Swider from Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs in California. Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs is the largest testing lab in the country. At least from what Josh told me. At one point, he said they were the first or second highest volume lab in California. And those guys just have a ton of experience, it seems like, in the testing space, as well as just they're involved in some other industries as well, not just cannabis testing, but I believe they're testing some other plant products and food products. So I'm super excited to have Josh on. He's a double PhD, and I think that one's going to be a heater right there. October 10th, 7 p.m. I've got John Rogers, the little version, the younger version. Last fall, I did an interview with his dad, who is also named John Rogers. John was in the Senate here in Vermont for 8 years and in the House for 8 years. His name is on the legislation on S-54. He was one of the main co-sponsors, along with Joe Benning and Dick Sears and some other folks. And he's also a hemp farmer, and now they've gotten into the cannabis game. They got a beautiful property up there. If you haven't watched my interview with John last year, it's number 88 or something. If you scroll way back through my YouTube, and my man Ben Gruno came with me. We did an on-site interview. We did drone footage up there. Beautiful shots of the farm opening up and walking through the barn. And we had some music from Eric McEdward, who was one of my first guests, Rico James, and SK, Robert Ronci, who were kind enough to lend me some music. And I see that the Garcia's guys in Burlington just got their cannabis license the other day. So I believe they're going to be doing a retail dispensary there at Garcia's Smoke Shop right on Church Street. And I'd like to thank Ben for his work. He spent a lot of time editing that video. We did some voiceover work and some B-roll footage, and it was just killer. Thanks, Ben. And it looks like Ben Gruno, Treetop Alliance, looks like they got a beautiful setup up there this year, and I hope your harvest is going well, my man. After that, we got on the 11th, we're just knocking them out this month. On the 11th, I got Nathan Liberty from Green Mountain Scientific. Nate is just one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life. They've got a tier 3 manufacturing license here in Vermont, in Morrisville, just a couple miles down the road from my house. And I believe that really Nate is one of the most knowledgeable guys that I've met since I started doing this project a year and a half plus ago. And I've been trying to get him on the show for a while, and we finally connected, and we're going to make it happen on the 11th. Boom, at 10 a.m. We're going to do an early one. Then the next day, on the 12th, we've got Dr. Anna Schwabe, who's down in New Jersey. And I've spoken to Anna on the phone a couple of times. Hopefully, we're going to be talking about some hop latent viroid disease and that kind of stuff, and some of her research, which I'm still thumbing through. It's kind of over my head, if I'm being honest. But I'm really excited. This will be my 4th PhD scientist in the cannabis space that I'm having on the show. And I always love chopping it up with the scientists. You know, I got a physics degree from WPI that I'm not using, but I can fake my way through a science conversation very nicely. Then we got October 15th. I don't know if Tom's going to make it. We're going to see here, guys. If he doesn't make it, I got a couple other things we're going to talk about right quick. October 15th, 7 p.m., my man Alex Miller is coming back. I don't know if you guys remember Alex. He was a former True Leave employee in Florida. And the information that he presented to us, along with James Dees, who is also a True Leave employee in Florida, just some very disturbing things about the way that they conduct their business. Some serious safety hazards and low wages and people getting fired for ridiculous reasons. And me and Alex have been in touch quite a bit since then. I might have got him interested in journalism, which was super cool. after our interview, he hit me up and he wanted to do what I was doing, sort of. And he brought me some information that we started rifling through. And even though Alex told me I think this is a dead end, I told him, anytime you think it's a dead end, keep looking for another half an hour. And we uncovered some very interesting stuff going on down south. And I'm excited to have Alex back on the show. He's a great guy. And yep, we got a call soon, Alex. What else we got? October 17th, Tuesday, 7 p.m. We got Miguel Lopez from LB Farms. And I think that's in Enosburg, Vermont. Miguel was on the show last year at some point. Stopped by the other day just to say hello, and it was great to see you, Miguel. If you're listening, you're indoor. Those last couple of pictures of you indoor looking fantastic, my man. Can't wait to see what you got going. October 19th at 7 p.m. We've got Antoine Mordican. Antoine is a guy that I connected with through Paul Valenti, who hit me up on LinkedIn. He's down in Massachusetts, but he said, hey, maybe you should talk to this guy. And what I'm trying to do is get a guest from every state in the country that's established a cannabis market, whether it's medical or adult use or either or. And Paul connected me with Antoine. We had a great call the other day. I saw Antoine was just at some cool events that we're going to be talking about. And it was wild. When I talked to Antoine, he told me that Alabama is just medical and you're not allowed to have any smokable products down there. So only vape carts and I don't know, patches or edibles or no flour, nothing like that. No hash, no concentrates. And I thought that was a real interesting situation. And I'm excited to have Antoine on the show. Boom. October 22nd, we got the Trim Stars, man. I had a great call with them the other night. They're also going to be opening up a dispensary in Barrie, Vermont. And they do sort of a traveling trimming service for cultivators around the state who don't have the time to trim their own stuff. They'll show up and do it for you. October 24th, Tuesday, 4 p.m. I've got Carly Bader from Willow Industries. Willow Industries is an ozone remediation company. And remediation is something that I've never heard about until maybe last year. And then I met a few of these companies when I was out at MJ BizCon in Vegas. And I'm very curious about the technology. I know they do different types of remediation. You've got ozone. I believe there's companies doing X-ray remediation. You've also got companies like using these Miox type products, peroxide sort of products to do remediation. And I'm super curious to find out about that. It's a subject I really don't know a lot about, but it seems like people are talking a lot about it. So I reached out to one of these companies, and Carly was kind enough to offer up her time for me. Then we got, well, boy, Tom says it's still loading. I don't know if we're going to make it tonight, but I'm going to keep riffing. I could riff for at least an hour just running my mouth. Sunday the 29th, I've got Diana Stewart from River Ridge Farms. I was put in touch with her by one of my previous guests, Dusty Kenny. I was looking for people in Vermont who had trouble with the flooding. A couple of months ago, we had some of the worst flooding in Vermont history, and a number of farms really took some hits from that. And I reached out. I posted something on Instagram asking if there were any outdoor farmers who wanted to talk about how that's affected their season. And I got in touch with Diana, and she'll be coming on the 29th, 7 p.m. And then, then we got a spooky Halloween interview with Brad Racino. Brad is a journalist in New York. In my opinion, Brad is one of the top journalists in the country, at least on the East Coast. I'm not super connected with a lot of the journalists on the West Coast, but I've got a pretty good network here on the East Coast. And Brad is really just dropping some heat in New York. I really like the way he does business, along with Sean Tehan is another guy who works for him. And those guys are, as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of this sort of bogus journalism. People have given me shit about not being a real journalist because I didn't go to school for it or whatever. A lot of the journalists that I've come in contact with in the cannabis space strike me as already being paid off, shills, if you will. It's more like PR than actual journalism, in my opinion. And Brad is one of the few people that I've run into while I was working on this project who's actually doing what I would consider to be real journalism. He's at the top. He's operating on a very high level right now. And I'm super excited to get him on the show here. That's going to be, I don't know, we might have to do a 4-part series on that because the situation in New York right now is just, it's an absolute shit show. And unpacking all of that information, it's going to take a long time. And then we got a couple coming for November too. I had to back up my interview with this guy, but on November 2nd at 10 a.m., he's an early morning guy. I've got a man named Ignacio Esteban, who was a special agent for the ATF for 25 years and worked in Miami doing big busts, cocaine busts, from what I understand, undercover trafficking busts, weapons, cartel stuff, organized crime, and he's written a bunch of books. And I'm super excited to have Ignacio on the show. That's going to be a good one. I've been looking for law enforcement people to interview about this, and a lot of them are hesitant to talk to me. And hey, I understand why. I haven't had a good relationship with law enforcement in my life. But I'm really curious to hear their thoughts and see what they're thinking here. And also just sounds like his life has been kind of like something you could turn into a movie. Oh, we still don't have time here. What's that? That's about 18 minutes of riffing. I'm going to throw another one up here because I got more time to kill. So today is October 1st for everybody at home. October 1st last year was the first day of legal cannabis sales in Vermont. So today is the 1-year anniversary of adult use cannabis sales in Vermont. And I'd like to just kind of reflect on that for a minute. Last year at this time on October 1st, it was actually the day before. So September 30th, I don't know why, but I got this idea in my head that I should go to the first dispensary and try to get the first bag of weed in the state. And so on September 30th last year, I drove down to Rutland to Mountain Girl Cannabis, which is owned by Anna and Josh McDuff, who I had met, I think, at the Headies last year. So I drove down there and I met up with Anna and Josh, and basically I camped out in their parking lot for the night. And I just waited. We hung out a little bit. They had a little event the night before. We had some food and we hung out. And I sat there in their parking lot and slept in my car in Rutland, which was a little sketchy. A few people walked by and I was wondering if I was about to get robbed or if someone was going to ask me for money or something or try to buy drugs for me. I don't know. It was weird. Sleeping in your car in Rutland is a strange proposition. But I slept out there for the night. I woke up super early. I set an alarm for very early, and I stood out in front of their store for I don't know. I think they opened at 11 in the morning, and I was out there at like 7 o'clock, and I wanted to make sure that I would be the first person in line, so I could get in there first and get the first bag of herb. I thought after, after this thing that happened with my dad when he was arrested by the FBI when I was 7 and did federal time for smuggling hash, I thought this would kind of be a cool story for later, and just something I could reflect on as well. And yeah, I waited in line, and after I stood there for about half an hour, people started lining up behind me. And by the time I got into the store, there must have been there was a line around the corner. It was great. I saw Chris Hickory there, and apparently Brennan was there from Bigfoot Flower Company. And I don't think I knew him back then, but he was waiting in line. And I saw Hickory there, and I was the first one in the door. And I was so happy. And I bought an eighth of flour and a pre-roll and some CBD coffee beans. And I went home, and for some reason I decided I was going to keep the bag. Oh shit, Tom's in here. Oh yeah. Hey buddy, Tom, I'll be right with you if you're watching. And okay, I'm going to wrap this up because Tom's in here now. But here we go. I kept the bag, I kept the receipt, and my sister Siobhan came over the other day, and she scrapbooked this up and recreated the Mountain Girl logo in the background. And we mounted and framed that right there is the first bag of weed sold at license number 1 in Vermont, and the receipt. Anna and Josh McDuff, thank you guys so much for your support, and I hope you guys enjoy that gift. Siobhan, my sister, thank you so much for helping me create that. Well, she did most of the work. I had the idea and she brought it to life, and that's just beautiful. All right, we're gonna drop it in here. I'm so glad he made it. I thought I was going to just be riffing for half an hour and have to going to cut this off. So here we go. Let's bring it. Boom.
Howdy.
Hey, buddy. My guest tonight is my old friend from Lindenville, Tommy Durfee. He's the owner of Amu Leaf and Burning Leaf in Nova Scotia, Canada. And it's a pleasure to have you on, my friend. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you, brother. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We just got this iMac, so everything was like, hey, we have to update you now.
Hey, so look, before we get into anything serious, would you mind sharing with us your 5-minute life story?
Holy crap. I totally forgot about the 5-minute life story. Oh my God. Okay. Tommy Durfee. I'm obviously from the United States. Moved up to Vermont when I was a little kid. Grew up in Vermont. Went to high school. Dropped out of high school when I was like 2 months away from graduation. The school was like, hey, you don't come to school enough, so we're going to take away your credits. And I was like, go for it. So they did. Anyway, I ended up graduating with LI after getting in a bunch of trouble I won't mention because you probably read it in the newspapers. But anyway, to make that long story short, in 2008, I got the opportunity to move to Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. I did that to go create a new adventure there, specifically to go to school. Actually, I found out that because of my First Nation status, as long as I got into a school that I applied to, that it would be paid for. And that was as long as I passed that curriculum, that they'd fully pay for that tuition. So I took that chance and jumped on it. It's been a crazy trip since I moved to Canada. I went to school for the structural aviation engineering program at the NSCC Aviation Institute in Shearwater. Graduated with that degree. In the middle of that, I accidentally had 2 kids, if that is even possible, which is a godsend because I'm just so lucky to have them. I have 4 children now, and it's been a good ride. I am now working on this venture with my family. We've opened up the first off-reserve Mi'kmaq Indigenous Treaty Truck House in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We opened that back in May of this year, May 8th specifically. It's been a good journey those first couple months. We got things kicking off really good. Kind of before we were opening the first store, we were kind of working on the second store and getting a location, which was very tough. It put us behind, about a year trying to lock down a location and lock down some partners within that building lease, that space lease that would, support this Indigenous Treaty Truck House. So, we opened up the second store September 11th. We're working on, probably a third store. Who knows? But it's been a good ride so far. I've learned a whole hell of a lot. I remember, growing through all of these growing pains that I've been through in my life and being like, what the fuck, man? What is wrong? Like, why am I going through all this shit? Why do I have all this bad luck? Partly that was my own self-destruction duty, but I now understand that every single journey I've been through has prepared me today to run these two companies and to run this business. It's definitely not easy. I work every day in our stores, from open to close, managing a staff of around 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people, plus our security team, which is an Indigenous owned security company called Chubukto Security. And it's been a privilege to serve our community and to offer the products that we do to them. It's an experience every day. I'm learning every single day about this trade of cannabis, and it's been really, really life-changing for me and my family. And that's where it's been so far, right?
That was a killer 5-minute life story.
Was that 5 minutes?
It was almost exactly 5 minutes.
Right on. I love that.
I feel like a good follow-up question right off the bat would be, can you tell us what an Indigenous Treaty Truck House is, please?
Yeah, so an Indigenous Treaty Truck House is basically a modern day trading post. It's a place where it was written in our 1752 treaty that if we felt the need to build a treaty truck house along the river of Shubenacadie, which is in Nova Scotia, a part of Halifax runs through it into the heart of Nova Scotia, towards Millbrook First Nation, where I'm from. Not originally from, but where my First Nation band is originated. It was a part of our treaty that we were able to build that treaty truck house and trade whatever we could to the best of our advantage, whether fish, fowl, feather, and anything else that we decided to sell that could make us our livelihood and support our community. So the Indigenous Treaty Truck House is built to support our Indigenous community, but also to support non-Indigenous communities. It's actually written, in the Indian Act, Constitution in Canada, that in Section 25 and 35, that we have the rights to sell and to trade to the best of our advantages, and to use that trade business to support our community, our Indigenous community. So we do that. That's our plan. And it's been a great journey so far. When our customers come in, they're kind of like, what is this place? And we explain it to them, and they're like, what do you mean you're going to help our community out? What does that mean? And I said, it just means once we start profiting, we're going to get together, my family and I, and we're going to come out to the community and talk to the elders and some of the community members, and try and get a connection with them and see what they're looking to accomplish in their community, whether it's, has to do with better programming for their kids, or, cleaning up the playgrounds and the tennis courts and putting basketball nets up and repainting the courts for them. Kind of whatever it takes to make them feel like they're being recognized and connected with each other. And that's like one of the most important things that I look to when running this business, is to educate the community on our trade of cannabis, and psycho and non-psychoactive CBD, THC, because we have a wide range of products that we trade in our store that are psycho and non-psychoactive, so that it caters to both sides of those who are looking to try it out. Especially with the youth, we like to spread education on the use of cannabis. Everything that we sell in our store is tested. It's specifically written on most of our packaging, the dosages to take as a beginner or an intermediate or an advanced user of cannabis. So we like to teach that in our trade, and like to support that local community, to say, hey, we're not just out here on a couch selling cannabis. We're like trying to figure it out and trying to utilize it to the best of our advantages, as a medicinal use, right? I know people like to roll it up and smoke it, and different people have their vibes on how they use it, but mainly our focus is to teach those on how to use it properly.
Word up. Hey, well said. Can you tell us now? You mentioned about sort of finding the locations for your businesses. And on the phone, it sounded like you mentioned that you located these businesses specifically in areas that were maybe a little bit rough.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So we chose specific areas that were kind of stigmatized as being low income areas, or the hood, they would call it. And we chose those areas because we've thought those were the most important areas to start in terms of supporting a community. And we got really lucky with finding a space in Highfield Park and off Gottingen Street in the north end of Halifax. I have some amazing connections to real estate. We were able to go into these business meetings and teach them about our rights, and show them, like, hey, this is a dream I have, and it's a legal dream that I have. And it's a little bit of a gray area in terms of people understanding our treaty rights, which are internationally recognized. So when we got into it, the business owners to the properties that we were leasing were like, okay, well, we need everything that goes along with creating a business. So we need like a professional bank account with the corporate name. We need a corporate, registry of stock, certification of a business number. We needed business insurance. We needed everything that any other business had to apply for and had to be approved of. And that went along with construction and building permits as well. So it was probably around a year and a little bit process, all said and done, to be able to get locked in. And actually, there are 485 Indigenous treaty truck house dispensaries in Canada. And I believe my shops are the only ones that have a written lease that say for sale of cannabis specifically. Everyone else, they kind of went in there and they're kind of taking chances on, telling the landlord that, they're building a cafe, or, they're setting something else up, and they're actually setting up a dispensary. And then, they're going back and forth, being raided by, local law enforcement, and having issues with landlords and leases. So I've been pretty lucky because I did a lot of my homeworks to make sure that I was doing it just like every other business. So, you know, I had to had to talk a certain language in order to accomplish those goals, which I did. Obviously, we're up and running now. Our business lease owners know exactly what we're doing. We didn't do any marketing for either of the businesses. The only marketing I did was write professional letters written by my lawyers to the chief of police of Halifax, Danielle Kinsella, and the mayor of Halifax, Mayor Mike Savage, who I know from working with the security contracts in Halifax, HRM. I'm actually the executive protection officer for the mayor, Mike Savage, and for Chief Danielle Kinsella. So they know me on a personal level,
Yeah,
and they,
will you tell us a little bit about your background doing these security jobs?
yeah. So I kind of fell in security. I was working for UPS for like 4.5-ish years. I got injured on the job. I got what do you call that when they're like trying to fire you, but they don't try and fire you? What is that called?
Laid off?
No, not laid off.
Uh,
It's a specific name. I forget. My lawyers told me, but I was on a work-related injury. They were trying to get me to work like over the 6-hour, you know, restricted period, and I was like, hey, you know, I can't do that. If I do that and I get injured more, then it's on me. You know what I mean? So
or temporarily suspended or some shit.
I don't know. It's like they give you so much shit. You're like, ah, fuck this. I quit. You know what I mean? I forget what they call that, but anyway, UPS terminated me while I was on a workers' compensation claim injury without even knowing that I was still on it. So that was a big screw up on UPS's end. Anyway, I ended up going to court for many years and winning the case with them. But in the meantime, my wife, you know, she's like, "What are you doing, laying back? You're not doing anything." I'm like, "Well, you know, I'm waiting for this court date to finish up." She's like, "That could be years." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so. Looks like I'm laying on the couch." You know what I mean? No, I didn't do that. She told me to get a fucking job. So I did. I ended up getting a job at the hospital that my wife worked at as a security officer in mental health security. So I worked in the emergency room psychiatric assessment unit, and I also worked in the offsite Nova Scotia Hospital for mental health and autism clients, and in the Abbey J lane for mental health, um, highly dysfunctional mental health clients that, you know, were in there because they couldn't go to jail. They committed those types of crimes where, you know, it was kind of like One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson, except the story that I lived in was a million times scarier than the movie that I watched growing up. And it's kind of crazy. I remember my first shift. I told my wife, I texted her, I was like, this was in the mental health and autism unit that I worked in. So it was a huge change in terms of mental health that I was used to. This was like mental health plus autism, like high autism. So non-functional patients, but just very physical. Everything was hands-on, from waking up to taking a shower to going to bed. It was a tough job. So I remember texting my wife and being like, "Oh my God, like I can't do this. Like I need you to come get me." And she was just like, "Welcome to my world. Suck it up, you little bitch." Swear to God, man, I was like, I should break up with this girl right now. She doesn't even give a shit about me. But I didn't. I was like, yeah, for sure. Okay, I need to suck it up. Like, that's right. My wife, this is what she deals with on a daily. So if she can do it, I can do it. And I stuck with it. Thank God I did, because I spent the next, you know, 6 to 7 years in security, but moving up the ranks. You know, I was a security officer for a couple months. I moved up to scheduling coordinator. Then I got back into the field as the field operations manager, which was like kind of the boss of the company from when the bosses went home at 5 o'clock till the morning, right? So I ran all the contracts. I managed 500 employees, and every single contract we had in
500.
yeah, Nova Scotia, PEI, Newfoundland. So it really set me up to be able to, you know, I didn't know anything about the security company. They took me under their wing and they taught me everything. I remember sitting in the scheduling office one day, and the boss came in, Tom Taggart. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, hey, what's up, Tony? He's like, hey, you want to be the fucking field manager? And I was like, what happened to Dylan? He's like, fucking quit. I'm like, oh, okay. Sure. And he's like, all right, can you start tonight? And I had just worked all fucking day doing scheduling. And I'm like, yeah, sure. But who's going to do scheduling tomorrow? He's like, don't worry, I'll figure it out. I'm like, okay. So I kind of got thrown into the wolves and got chewed apart a couple of 100,000 times and ended up coming back a leader maybe a couple of years later. But, um, I was flown to Vancouver for a couple of weeks, and I was taught an executive security protection program for a junior management position as like an executive director in the security program. So that was my kind of schooling over there in Vancouver. I came back to Halifax, and just the team that I worked with, I was kind of sick of them, man. I was like, all right, these guys are some sketchy guys. I thought I was sketchy growing up, but working in the security industry, I'm more watching the in-house than I am the regular contracts that we work, right? So I ended up getting out of mental health security and going into corporate security with Garda World, and I became the fleet manager, and then the operations manager, and then finally the senior account manager for their $10 million plus contract. So I ran NSLC, which is Nova Scotia Liquor Control's security contract, managed and secured that contract with a team of around 50 people. And then I also secured and managed the Halifax Regional Municipality contracts, corporate security contracts. So that was another, I don't know, probably 125 security officers that I managed on a daily basis and worked together with to help accomplish the goals of our clients. So, through all that, I got to meet a lot of law enforcement officers. I got to meet the chief of police, the mayor, newscasters that I did executive protection for. I was the executive protection officer for the vice president of CBC Radio. So when she
Oh,
came in,
you do protection for media people?
yes, I do. You should have seen it. Brett Thurston, I think his name was. I did the.
When are you moving back to Vermont?
Oh my God. Never. No. Someday.
You're hired.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'll be your traveling one. So when you have to go around the world, then I'll travel with you 100%. You know what I mean? I'll just be really stoned when I do it, though, this time.
Same.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
awesome. And I wanted to stop you for a second there because earlier you mentioned that you have written letters to the mayor and the chief of police. Yeah. And I'm wondering if you could tell us maybe what you wrote to them about.
Oh, man. I wish I could know. I paid a group of lawyers. I gave them all the information on our treaties, and I wrote that to them, and then they kind of took it in their own professional terms and wrote these letters.
What were the gist of the letters?
The gist of the letters were just that me stating my name, the companies that I created, the locations that they were in. The structure of the company and what it entailed. I mentioned very specifically in detail our Indigenous treaty inherent rights that the Mi'kmaq people have, and that I am Mi'kmaq and I'm status Native American. And I told them exactly where I was going to, get all my product from, that it was tested. And they knew, because when I worked for NSLC corporate security, I'm the one that wrote all the standard operating procedure safety for NSLC cannabis. So they knew that I knew what I was talking about when it came to the law and it came to securing the product and securing and making sure everything was safe in and outside the property that I was securing. So they understood that. I hired a security team for our business, a $250,000 contract, that I pay for security a year.
Wow. So you actually have security at your
yeah. We don't open the store without our security, and we don't close it without our security. So that's for both stores. So we're spending about $500,000 on security to make sure that people feel safe. and they're indigenous, right? So it's a part of our culture. It's not like, I went out to Garda World and I was like, hey, what's up? I actually did. I was like, hey, I got these businesses, right? And they came back like, wow, that's really cool. But this is like kind of different though, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of different. And I explained it to them, and they were like, they're a multi-billion trillion dollar worldwide company. They have over 27 different divisions. I worked in the security protection division, but they have like, guys in Afghanistan that like protect politicians, and our business partners, say like one of our business partners in Garda World gets like kidnapped, they got like the Expendables team ready to go extract these guys out of countries and shit. So Garda World's a huge, huge company. And they were kind of like, well, you know what? Let's wait a couple of years and see what happens. And then, like, if everything's cool, then yeah, for sure. So in the meantime, you can go on my LinkedIn page. They wrote a big bio about me being a part of the company, and then kind of leaving the company, resigning my position, and taking on this new venture into my indigenous culture. And they wrote a really nice piece about me, and it felt really good to have them to do that. But I kind of think, just by the way I speak in terms of my business, we sell medicinal flower and indigenous artifacts and art. So when somebody hears like medicinal flower, or they hear flower, they think I got like some flower shop, I think, right? So I swear to God. So, the phone call was like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, how'd you like the thing I wrote on you, Tom? And I was like, it was really great. We really appreciate that. And they kind of asked like, so what else do you sell over there? And like, I told them and I mentioned it, and they're like, oh, cool. And it was almost like, they were like, it's legal everywhere else, you know what I mean? So why are they feeling weird about it? So you kind of get that, and it happens every day. You see people walk through our door because they see all the art on the front of the building, and then they walk in the door and they kind of take one or two steps in and they stop, like something's about to pop off, like they just walked into like a parallel universe of like, okay, this isn't run by the government, but I'm definitely in a store that sells a lot of cannabis products, right?
Yeah. Now let me stop you right there. I'm with Tom Durfee, CEO, owner of Amu Leaf and Burning Leaf in Nova Scotia. You mentioned the NSLC, and for everybody who might not know what that is, could you please explain that and what their function is in Canada?
Yeah, Nova Scotia Liquor Control is based out of Nova Scotia, a province in Canada that is controlled by the government. So there are no beer package stores around here, like a gas station in the States you'd find to be able to buy beer. You have to go to a specific brewery that gets a license through the government, or a distillery, to get, those types of products. You have your wineries, but when it comes to going out into, a regular package store and being able to buy alcohol or cannabis, it's all run and controlled by Nova Scotia Liquor Control. So there's nobody else. There's no microbrewers, mom and pop, stores or anything like that. You can't get stuff in a gas station or a grocery store or Walmart or anything like that. Everything is at NSLC, including the cannabis.
And if I recall correctly, I was remembering back to the COVID times. I feel like they tried to shut down the dispensaries, maybe say you couldn't go in if you weren't vaccinated, or maybe they did the same with the liquor stores as well. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I worked in just as, it's kind of weird how it happened, COVID, or they make cannabis legal at the same time as COVID shutting down the world. So we had about, I don't know, maybe 6 months. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, we have this virus. We got to shut down everything except for, like grocery stores and, certain places that were designated as a, what do you call that?
Essential.
Essential service. Yeah.
The gas stations and hospitals and shit like that.
Custodians, everybody, like,
and liquor stores seem to be essential all of a sudden.
Yeah, liquor stores all of a sudden became essential. So, people were coming in with masks. It was a different approach. It was like a whole lineup of people, because at that time we were only allowed to let 5 people in the store. That usually hold about 150 to 200 people easily, right? And they're packed in there, jam packed, and they're buying booze. But with this case, I had to stand at the door as security for NSLC and let people in 5 at a time. That was also, they were required to wear a mask.
So you were doing COVID security for the Canadian government?
Yes, yes. We did COVID security not only for the liquor control, but for the government of Canada. So anyone who was doing any traveling, I was one of those officers that showed up at your house, with your itinerary of how long, you've been in this country for, the address that you were supposed to be at, if you had COVID or not. And I also dropped tests off to test people to make sure they didn't or did have COVID. And I had to require to document that. And as well, like these are the individuals that were traveling under essential jobs. So these guys weren't just regular people. They were like engineers, and they were like, technicians and stuff like that. So, these guys were sick of it. You would show up at their house and they'd be outside and we're like, hey, you have to stay in your house. And they're like, what the fuck, buddy? I'm fucking hanging out in my backyard. Like, what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, nothing. And I check a little box, I get a little number on a phone, and I'd drive away. And then the next person show up 15 minutes later was the RCMP, and they would hand you a ticket, right? The guy would be like, oh, what are you here for? And they're like, oh, we got the number 5 button Tommy just pressed when he left. And that means we got to come here and write you a ticket because you're being a douchebag. But really, he wasn't being a douchebag. He was on his own property, and I was paid by the government to kind of police that, right? Which is crazy because
how did you feel about doing that?
Oh man, I gave I did my job, right? I did my job, but every time I got back in the car, I was like, what the actual am I doing this for? And I'm like, oh yeah, I have 4 kids. Okay, yeah, that's right. I have a wife, who's nursing through this COVID too. So like, that was crazy. Every time my wife came home, we had to like spray her down with Lysol, and the kids couldn't give her a hug. And, we had to wash the groceries like we were talking about the other night, like that. And then all of a sudden, it slowly just dissipated and went away. But like COVID never went away. But all these rules and regulations and the way they divided us and controlled us, slowly went away because we started to get a little crazy, man. We were like getting ready to go nuts, right? Canada was fine. It was like there was no issues. People wore their masks, and if someone didn't wear a mask, we just stayed away from them. You know what I mean? We weren't like, hey, you need a mask to come in here. We kind of were like, yeah, okay, there's somebody, they're not going to wear a mask, and you see the person that works in the store, and they're like, hey, you got to leave. You don't have a mask on. And they're like, go fuck yourself. I'm going to go get my pancakes and then fucking pay for it. And you can go fucking eat sand. You know what I mean? Like, and as a security officer, I was like, yeah, sure. Have fun, cause I was always that security guy that, I did my security job. And when it came to the point where they were starting to become aggressive and you needed that law enforcement entity, that's what I did. I just called the law enforcement. And they even came in. They're like, "Come on, guys! Like, just put the mask on." They're like, "Go fuck yourself." And they're like, "All right, I'll go fuck myself."
Fuck your mother.
So they kind of walk them outside. But you could even tell, like the police, they just they get you outside. They wouldn't write tickets. It was only.
I'm gonna do this for you. Hold up. We're gonna. There we go. Bang.
It was only until these college kids had these huge parties, man, like 200-person party, right? Everyone is like partying and they're like, oh no, and then we're all watching the COVID numbers spike, the next 3 days. Oh, there's 40 cases. Oh, now there's 400. And oh my God, there's 2,100. What the hell's going on? So I remember in the news that they wrote all these college kids tickets for like $2,100 each. And they basically told the cops, that's it. They're like, that's it. That's all you're going to do. And then after we got that, the premier upped the fine to $10,000. He said, yeah. So that's when they were like, okay, never mind. We're just kidding. You know what I mean? But I know for a fact that a lot of these cases that went into court were thrown out. You know what I mean? Like they paid the fine, but they never really got it on their record. You know, the judge was like, "Hey, you did this. You owe $2,100." And the kids were like, "Yeah, sure, here you go." And they're like, "All right, thanks a lot, appreciate it." So Nova Scotia is just one big money grab. You know what I mean? They're like, "You can do whatever you want, just we're gonna fine you." And people are like, "Fuck it, do it." You know, happens all the time. I sponsored this party. Amu Leaf sponsored this party a couple of weeks ago, and the cops showed up. And you know, the woman was having so much fun with our crew that she just told the cops, she goes, "Write me the ticket." They're like, "Well, we're going to be back. If we're back again, it's going to be 3,100." She's like, "Go ahead, write the ticket." I don't know where she was from, but she was I think she was from Ukraine, or no, not Ukraine, Iran. And it was kind of a weird place. You walk in and it's like a bunch of old guys eating food that wasn't even from the restaurant, you know, and they're smoking shisha and shit. And then in the back was just like a free for all party. But it was a part of like a cultural group from India, right? So like 98% of the people in there who were partying their asses off were totally sober. You know, they're just having the time of their lives, drinking water and fucking getting nuts. And, and it was such a great experience. You could tell the cops came in. They're like, "Yeah, okay, everybody's sober, screaming and yelling because they're having so much fun. You know, they're not out of control." When they showed up, we all shut up and just looked at them, like listened to them. And it was like parents, you know, "Turn down the music." We're like, "Okay, mom." And then they leave and we turn it up. We're like, "Yeah, fuck it." You know, and it was totally fun. I love that. We're definitely going to do it again. We're going to sponsor these parties as much as possible now.
Hell yeah. I want to. I had to take a little COVID tangent there just because I was curious about that because we talked about it on the phone. One thing that I really wanted to talk about is the licensing because it sounds like due to your tribal status, you don't need a license, whereas opposed to like normal operators would have to get some sort of licensure through the government.
Yeah, exactly. Like the government of Canada, you know, they go to Trudeau. Trudeau just writes them off. They're like, "Yeah, sure. Here's your license. No payment. You know, collect taxes. You know, we'll put them in our pockets." NSLC makes about $2.8 billion a year off cannabis. In Nova Scotia. There's no, you know, programs that I see that they've come up with in terms of education. There's no sort of community support, give back at all. I know they have really big parties that we can't afford to go to. That I used to secure. I mean, the NSLC crew and those guys that work for them are just like us, man. They're everyday dudes just trying to work a job and trying to get ahead in life, right? So, um, when I do talk to a lot of them, you know, they're kind of like, "I fucking hate my job, but it pays good, right? These guys pay really well." You get somebody who works at a package store in the States. How much do they get an hour, you think?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've been to Massachusetts. Although, you know, if you went to like Coles and Lindenville, I don't know, what, 15 maybe?
Yeah,
But,
so these
you know,
guys
I
in
don't know.
NSC, they're making like $30 an hour, you know,
No.
with benefits, and they're making really good money, right? So it's all unionized too. So and you know, to work for NSLC is a hard gig to get for sure. You got to really know somebody inside to get a job in those places. So they pick and choose very specifically. But I know that when people go into NSLC, man, they're sick of it. Their product is junk. It's been sitting in a warehouse for I don't know how long. By the time you open the package and touch it with your hands, it just like totally like disintegrates just into dust. You know what I mean? And you're rolling it into these joints, and it's quagging, and the joints are giving you headaches. Like it's total bullshit, and it's expensive. It's very expensive. It's like you know, $50 for one piece of hash, which is like 3.1 gram of hash. You know what I mean? We sell hash by the gram that ranges from $5 a gram to like, you know, $14 to $16 a gram, but it's really, really good stuff. Cashmere, Lebanese, and some of the
You got $5 grams of hash?
hell yeah, dark roast Lebanese, brother. We got that shit $5 a gram. And we also have some good shit like Jägermeister and strawberry cough at like $4 a gram, right? But
Can
these
you tell us what your flower prices look like?
Yeah, we have flower from indica to sativa to hybrid strains. We got single A to triple A to quad A cannabis. So it ranges from like $4 a gram to $5 a gram to 6 to 7 to 8. Our most expensive gram is $10 a gram. We won't go above that. It's just it's a price that we like to provide for our customers so they can actually enjoy and purchase our products, right? If we got a gram of weed that's like $25, well, there's only a specific person that would really go for that and be able to afford that, ongoing. I mean, they could be like, yeah, I'll drop $25 on this fucking gram and see how it is. But like, I'm sorry, I don't feel like any weed out there is worth $25 a gram. I don't give a shit what you grow. You know what I mean? But you could say that a lot of people would look at me and say, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? But it's just the prices that we go by with the people who we trade with, right? We can grow our fringe as high as the rest and make a huge profit, but we're about providing a product as much as we can and sell it as much as we can, instead of providing that product and displaying it in gold and being like, look at this is the Mike Tyson OG, check it out. Only Mike Tyson's friends can smoke it or whatever. We're like, fuck that shit, we'll make it so affordable anyone can fucking try it. And actually, some people walk in the business while I'm working and they're like, oh man, yeah, I can't really afford that today. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this shit. And I'll break out a gram, I'll weigh it up, and I'll say, well, you take that home and you try it and you tell me how you like it, right? And they're blown away by that. They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, hey man, like I appreciate you coming back again today and getting your gram of weed that you can afford. And so for that, I'm gonna reach out and I'm gonna, spread my olive
Are
branch.
you allowed to do gifting like that?
Yeah, I can do whatever I want. That's the thing with the licensing. I don't need anybody's permission. I didn't need to get a cannabis license by the government of Canada. But I set my business up like as if I did, right? All my products are tested. I don't put anything on my shelf that's going to cause anybody any harm or going to cause a customer to come back and say, that stuff had nothing in it. Or, you said this gummy was like 20 milligrams and I ate it and almost died. I felt like I was going to die. You know what I mean? Because somebody made it in their basement, interrupted them. They squeezed the whole syringe into it, or, they sprayed it a couple more times. Oh, I forgot how much I sprayed this bag, bro. This person's going to fucked up. They don't care. Right. I care. I want to make sure that all of our customers come back and enjoy what they have and they're not scared of it. You know what I mean? Whatever they're going to take, it's exactly what they've taken with other companies. And because people have their own limits, you know what I mean? If you're only limited to like, oh man, I've only done like 50 milligrams at a time.
Oh, I do 20, dude. The consistency is very important on the edibles, especially because the difference between 20 and 50 for me is like a nice night's sleep or 4 hours of staring at the ceiling, feeling like I'm gonna fucking die.
Yeah, and we have that. Like I'm the same way. I microdose in my gummies. I do like 5 milligram gummies. I'll have a 5 milligram in the morning with my tea. I'll go to work. I'll work all day. I really honestly don't have to use any cannabis all day while I work. I'll get home and then, I'll eat like, I'll smoke a couple of bowls, a couple of joints, and I'll eat like, 25 to 30 milligrams of gummies. Right. And, it's good for me. I couldn't eat over 50 at once. I would feel the same way. Well, I have 4 kids, so I probably could handle it. But once they see my eyes at a certain level, my kids always come up to like, "Hi, Dad, can I have another snack?" I'm like, "Yeah, whenever
And
you want."
we're all having snacks.
I'm like, "Go get a popsicle for me too." You
Yeah.
know.
I learned the hard way on edibles too many times from Gruber. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to, before I get too sidetracked here, I want to keep this sort of dialed in because I want to ask you about the taxes. Are you guys subject to the same taxes as a government regulate, like an NSLC
Yes.
dispensary or whatever?
Yeah. So that was kind of one of the issues I had when I first opened up our stores, we had $10 grams. So someone would throw $10 at me and I'd say, actually, it's 11.50, it's plus tax. And they'd say, what do you mean it's plus tax? You guys don't pay taxes. And I'm like, well, yeah, we don't pay taxes when we're on reservation. Only we pay taxes every day, like while we're out shopping at Walmart, at the gas station, all these places. But when we're on reservation and shopping those specific stores on those lands, then we aren't subject to tax. But since I'm off reserve, yeah, I got a tax code number, and I'm collecting taxes to give to the government for my business. So at first,
Have you ever considered setting one up on the reservation?
yeah, so I did. I tried that. That's kind of like why I ended up on off the reservation. Actually, I talked for many years to family, to the chief of Millbrook, to some of the dispensary owners on reserve about how they went about and did that. What did they do? How did they ask? What permits did they apply for? And all of them were like, nothing. We just opened up shop and that was it. And I said, so what do I do? They said, just pick a spot, don't tell anyone, and build your store and open it up. So that's what I did. And I did that over probably, I don't know, 4 months, going in, finding a spot that was untouched. So a lot of these guys that went into the reservation, they found spots that were kind of convenient. They could just pull a little trailer into and drop it, and their business was set up. I went into the end of a cul-de-sac and moved a bunch of land, earth, and trees, and put in a bunch of fill and laid down concrete and was setting it up to have an offsite building be transported and dropped on this piece of concrete. And I was working on that, and they were cool with it. I had people come up, hey, what are you doing? This is what I'm doing. I was going to set up a little sacred fireplace for the community. And when I say sacred fire, it's for when our community members pass away. During their passing, we light a fire the entire time through their services and up until they're buried. And that's around the clock, 24/7. So community members from the community volunteer their time, and they sit and they watch and they stoke the fire for the person that is passing on to the other side and making their journey. So that was one thing that Cole Harbor and the reservation in Cole Harbor that they didn't have. They didn't have a sacred fire pit. So that was something that I wanted to build them, and everyone was cool with that. And I heard my mom got sick. My mom told me she got sick. So I went down to go see my mom. And while I was down there, they found out that I was off and about out of the country and not around. So they came in with Millbrook bylaw, chief and council members, and RCMP, and they took everything out that I put in, and they replaced it back to the original form. So they took all my construction fill equipment, wrecked the concrete, took that out, put the guardrail back, and put it back to its normal standing. And then they sent me a letter stating that they were, going to take away my grant funding that I received twice a year from being a Millbrook band member. We get grants every year for life for a specific amount of money. And it's kind of a benefit that we have in our specific reservation because of the amount of economical growth that we have in it. We make that from the casinos, from the gas stations, from the movie theaters, from the hotels, and we kind of pool it in this big pot, and then we disperse it out to the community members. So they wrote me a letter and said they're seizing that indefinitely to pay for having to go in there and take me out of there. And they're going to do that instead of bringing me to small claims court. So I'm
Wait,
currently.
so you have to pay for them to come rip all your shit out?
Yeah, so they violated my rights under Section 89, which is search and seizure of an Indigenous person's property on Indigenous land. So they broke their own treaty law against their own community member because they knew the amount of experience that I had in this industry, and they knew that I was going to grow something that was probably going to be better than anything they could ever probably think of and fathom, right? And we were also working together with the other you have all these cannabis treaty truck houses on reservation. You think we would all compete and hate each other, it'd be cutthroat, but we're not. We all support one another. So if somebody gets raided, we go help support them. We set them back up. We give them product. We make sure they're open immediately after they're raided, and that's
Is there a lot of people getting raided?
yeah, they're in the past couple years since 2019. There's been almost every single dispensary raided in Millbrook, in Cole Harbor, and they're taking everything. They took the cannabis first, and then after they did that, they stopped taking the cannabis. Now they come in and they take the contraband tobacco cigarettes that they buy from Mohawk country out in Ontario, and their mushrooms, right? So a lot of these guys, they sell everything in their treaty truck houses on reserve: mushrooms, tobacco, cannabis, everything and anything they can, right? I don't do that in my stores. I don't sell tobacco. I never will until it is not deemed a contraband, right? And we'll work on that for sure, 100%.
Even though I believe you said it could be a huge moneymaker.
Yeah, well, it's a huge money maker, but it's also been an indigenous medicine for 93,000 years. You know what I mean? Like they got that shit from us, and then they took it from us, and then they're saying that we can't even trade nation to nation with each other. Are they out of their fucking minds? That's how insane they are. You know what I mean? The government of Canada just they put out these news articles that are like, yeah, we busted some guy from Eel River Bar Reserve for 638 grams of contraband tobacco. This illegal sale of tobacco harms the tax revenue of social programs that we give back to the you know what I mean? They're guys, right? And
That's what I was thinking too.
yeah, we got to deal with it, man. And that's how NSLC is run. You go into NSLC, it's very sketchy. It's very boring. There's a what do you call a binder with everything on paper, and this is what it is. That's how much it is. That's it. Here you go. No explanation, strain, percentage, price. There you go. You can't even look at it, man. It's in a plastic gray container, right? And by the time you open it up and you're like, this is shit. You try and bring it back. They're like, sorry, here's the number you can call if you're not satisfied with the product. But basically that's it. Go fuck yourself. They don't care. They're the government.
Here you go. Comment from Gabriel Garrett, who I was talking to earlier, who is the one guy waiting on LinkedIn to watch this. Gabe, thanks for tuning in. You got to laugh at that one. Yeah. I want to ask you first, which I forgot to do earlier. I'd like to ask you about each of the business. Well, I didn't forget. I was building to it. That's what I was doing. I'd like to ask you about both your businesses and the locations, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about each store, Amu Leaf and Burning Tree.
Yeah. So Amu Leaf is located at 14 Highfield Park Drive in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. It's tucked into the community of Highfield Park. There's probably around, I don't know, I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, over 20 housing units there that probably house around, I don't know, maybe 1,000 people. So there's about 20,000 people in this immediate area that all smoke weed. And they love it. They come in our store every day. They enjoy the atmosphere when they come in. We know them by name. It's like a coffee shop. You got Jenny that comes in, and she gets the double single or whatever. Jimmy comes in our store, and we know he gets 5 sativa pre-rolls, and he pays cash. And being able to also give back to community. Some people come in, and they're like, oh my God, the pain is so unbearable. These people are dealing with specific pain and cancer diseases. And they're, you can tell they're in a lot of pain. So, they got $5. That's all I got. Just give me a pre-roll, and I'll throw like 3 pre-rolls in there. And, they'll look at it and say like, I only ordered 1. And I'm like, wow, well, take 3. It's on the house today. I appreciate you coming back. You come every day. You know what I mean? So yeah, they deserve it. Right. and it's like changing people's lives one at a time. One thing that I do in the stores that we both run, that I made sure to implement, and state to my family and my business partners that this was going to be a thing that I was going to do every day for these stores. And that's providing a free bottle of water, a free granola bar, and a free apple from the local vineyards in Nova Scotia. So you can come in, you get a free bottle of water, a granola bar, a really good granola bar, a double pack one with a big ass Honeycrisp apple, the best on the market. So, that's something that I learned in mental health working in security, that most of these people that came in, were just fucking hungry. Like they weren't listened to. They were fucking starving. They were barely getting by. No, they just felt like nobody cared about them. So every time they came by on my watch, I'm like, hey man, I know where they got these warm blankets that they can warm up all day long. Like, I'm going to go get you one. You want one? They're like, fuck yeah. I'm like, on the way, there's like a fridge. I got like a sandwich with the juice. You got cookies. We got ice cream. Like, did you want something to eat? I can hook you up. And they're like, yeah, can you do that? I'm like, yeah, for sure. Some of these people would have like clothes that I'd see, like they would come in like every day wearing the same clothes. And I'd say, there's a clothes city down, by the Abby J lane. I'm sure, the social worker or the nurse, the psych nurse would allow me to, bring you down there and get you some new clothing if you want to do that. And these people are like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, let's do it. So any single thing that was in the hospital that I could give away to a person that, that the government of Canada would allow us to, these were kind of perks that were in the hospital that, helped satisfy people and during, their long wait times and stuff. So I use that a lot in the mental health, because I could tell. I'm like, hey man, you want a sandwich? And they're like, yeah, can I get two? I'm like, dude, I'll get you three, and I'd come back and I'd hook them up. And
Here's 17.
yeah, pretty much, right? But they loved me, man. And when they came in and they saw my face, they were like, okay, I feel safe, but there were some guys that, I would relieve, and I would know walking away, like, this guy is going to lose his shit because this security officer is a piece of work. You know what I mean? These are the guys that want to be police officers. So they come in, they're like, they're all like this. They treat you like garbage. They have no empathy for you. They're just ready to put their hands on you just so they can muckle the shit out of you, right?
Mm.
And I've been in situations where, I've been a field manager and coming down to the psychiatric units because shit's hitting the fan, and, working alongside of these security officers who are being really rough. And I had the power to say, you need to step away, and they had to listen to me. And the nurses saw that, the doctors saw that, my colleagues saw that, and they really understood that I was there for the patient. I wasn't there just for a job. I made sure that everyone was respected to the highest abilities that they could be respected to. And if those people who weren't respecting worked for me, well, they were gone. I sent them home and I brought them in the office, and we tried to figure out some sort of corrective action. And if it continued, then, they were terminated on my watch. Right. So, yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, pretty much, in a nice way. I was like, hey, this is why I'm doing this. If you weren't like this, I wouldn't be doing this. So, it's a lesson for you to learn, some crazy shit happened.
You're like, look, it's not me, it's you.
That's what I was like, man. And I think that's why they still loved me. They were like, okay, can I still use you as a reference? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I get the reference call and I'd be like, yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. Don't I'm just honest. They would call me. They'd be like, hey, did you get a call? I'm like, yeah, I got the call. They're like, how was it? I'm like, it was good.
For me.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So tell us a little bit about Burning Tree, if you would.
Burning Tree. That is it's a totally, that's what I love about these stores. In Highfield Park, you got that store open space, but there's a huge wall that separates the employees from the customers. And that has to do with safety and security. So it's kind of set up like a cash money window with there's like plexiglass, but it's a nice wall. It's got bricks and stuff on it, and it's cute. It kind of feels like you're at home. And we come out in and out of the doors like, it's not a big deal. It's just for security risk, right? And COVID was still kind of there. So I didn't want to open up a business and have it be open and then the government come in and be like, you need to be like safer. And I'm like, okay, so that's why I put the plexiglass in the wall up. And then, a couple months later, everything kind of like really settled down, and they were starting to take everything away from the banks, the plexiglass, from the hospitals and all that stuff. So when we opened Burning Tree is a 2,500 square foot open concept treaty truck house. So it's like a gallery, it's like a candy store. It's you walk in and it's very comforting. You have indigenous art all over the place. We have the same kind of music playing. It's lo-fi, summer vibe, beats, lyrical. It's to cater to, so somebody doesn't walk in and we're playing like, Eminem or like, Dr. Dre, and it's some grandma and she's like, terrified of that shit. Right. Everything is very kind of like, it's kind of got a total vibe, almost like you're walking into like a cool nightclub / massage parlor, right? Thing is like, it's like tranquility. It's like, it's got this ambience to it. And then the staff that I've hired are 98% all Indigenous, First Nation status, Native Americans too. So, and that's not something that I meant to do. I put it out first to our Indigenous community to say that we were opening up and I was hiring. So we vetted and interviewed a lot of people. And, I looked for a specific person, someone with customer service who smiled, who enjoyed, that customer interaction and who wasn't afraid to kind of elaborate and, work it, sell it, and work it. Kind of like, your bartender, your waitress kind of vibe. But like not over too nice. Yes.
Hi. Yeah. No, hi. That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um, I got those types of folks in there, and it's been really great. I mean, that's like, you go on our Google, you Google Burning Tree, you Google Amu Leaf, and most of the feedback is just like how welcoming it is. And we thank you when you're done your purchase, and we'll see you again soon. And here's a couple of gummies on the house, here's a couple of pre-rolls on the house, here's a tray, here's a grinder. We're trying to hook everybody up and make sure that they know that they're appreciated, and we care about them. And they can tell by the prices. They walk in, they're like, 2,000 milligram gummies for what? $72, like live resin. Like, what do you mean? Like, what? And we have gummies from $3 all the way. I think the most expensive gummy is our 2,000 milligram live resin gummies, the dummy bears. And
Dummy bears.
those are $72 for, a pack of 2,000 milligram.
And you're allowed to sell that much. See, in Vermont, the maximum you can put in a package was 50 milligrams. They just bumped it up to 100.
So
But
how much is that for 100 pack of gummies? 100
uh,
milligrams.
well, I saw 50 milligram packs going out the door for $30, $35. Hundreds. I hope the price is going to come down a little bit. It's outrageous. We're almost looking at OxyContin prices here. It's like 60. It's like 60 cents a milligram. It's
Now
wild.
you know who owns those companies, the fucking pharmaceutical companies, brothers.
Well, no, it's just some of the rules made it very cost prohibitive, because now instead of being able, like, if you could sell 2,000 milligrams at a time, you can put that in one package. If you wanted to sell that in Vermont on opening day, that would have been 40 fucking jars. And that's so it's a lot of extra packaging, labeling, work.
We sell a 45 milligram pack for $3 here, 3 pieces, 15 milligrams a piece. Yeah, man. And those are the ones I just put in the bag for free. I'm like, here you go.
You're not allowed to do that in Vermont. The maximum serving size is 5 milligrams per piece.
Yeah, I think it's like that here in Canada too. I don't really pay attention to, I mean, I do. It's definitely, I think NSLC's 10 milligrams per pack or something like that. But you can buy like 100 packs, but they can only have 10 milligrams in that one pack. You know what I mean?
Do you guys have any restrictions on what you're allowed to use for packaging materials?
No, we don't, not Mi'kmaq people, but I know that NSLC definitely does. Most of my products though, that I specifically source are childproof. They have all the signs of like, this is cannabis, stay away from children, 19 plus only. Um,
19.
yeah, 19 plus. Some say 21 plus on it, but I think those are the ones that snuck in over the border, I think. But I usually send those ones back because I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? They give me this product and I'm like, what's this 21 stuff? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's from the United States. I'm like, well, I don't believe there's a an embargo like on that yet. So I think that might be illegal for me to sell in the store. And they're like, we get away with it all the time. I'm like, yeah, that's something I don't want to deal with.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
next, there's 150 other producers out there that I can get local. So like I'm just gonna get local and make sure that it's either indigenous run. I ask them when I do get people contact me all the time, hey, I got these samples, like, check it out, heard about you, saw you on the news, whatever, I'd like to hook you up. And you know, I I have a specific product that I'm looking to accomplish, and that's something that's safe, that's tested, that people recognize, and that has a good reputation. You know what I mean? I Google everything that I look into, and make sure there's nothing like a news article like this might have like killed somebody or something like that. You know what I mean? Like the one chip challenge shit. Like we'll never sell that in our store for sure.
Oh, well, don't Google me.
Me too. Don't Google me too.
Can I ask you where you source your flower from and stuff like
Yeah, I
that?
mean, it's kind of like all over the map. We do purchase from actual cannabis brokers in Canada. These are the ones that have the product that's totally tested and certified to sell and consume. And then we buy from. I couldn't tell you who those guys are specifically, just based off confidentiality agreements that I've signed, but we do a lot of trading nation to nation. So I do trade a lot of product out of Six Nation, um, um, and that's in Ontario. And we do a couple of other local Indigenous run resource producers. But mainly, I try and keep it Indigenous as much as I can. I kind of feel bad when I'm like, hey, are you guys an Indigenous company? They're like, no, but we source to a lot of Indigenous companies. That's, one of the guys that we source to told us about you and told us, to give you a call and see if our products are something you want to sell in your store. So um, I don't want to buy all the same stuff too that all the other dispensaries and treaty truck houses have. So I do a lot of research in them, and I make sure that I'm getting different product than them. That way, there's a different variety. I can say, I don't have that, but I have this. Or when they come in, they're looking for a certain product. I can be like, I don't sell that, but High Grade down in Cole Harbor does. They got a bunch of that stuff. They'll be able to help you out. And they kind of look at me like, what is this guy crazy? Did he just kick me out of his store and give me somebody else to buy from? Like, what is he nuts? But that's what we do. We help each other out. A lot of these on reserve dispensaries, they're open 7 a.m. in the morning till 11 p.m. at night, every day of the week, 365 days a year. I don't do that. I got 4 kids and a wife, man. I gotta, you know what I mean? Like, that's one thing I did. I opened up just after NSLC opens, and I closed just before they close. So I'm open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Burning Tree every day of the year, and 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Highfield Park. And again, that's just for security reasons. Like, nothing really happens after 7 o'clock in Highfield besides, a bunch of people, who are waking up from a bender the night before and ready to bend somebody else. You know what I mean? So I get out of there before those guys wake the fuck up and they come out and start shit. You know what I mean? And it's actually a time where law enforcement changes over too. So, if they're looking to bust me at the end of the day, then, they're going to miss me. They're going to come in after shift change and be like, what the fuck? This guy closed early? Like, what's 7 o'clock? Yeah, buddy, we're going home. I got to cook dinner and put these fucking kids to bed and get to school in the morning. You know what I mean? So, but that's, that was hard to sell with these business partners. They're like, no, open to close. Let's do it. And I'm like, let's start slow and then we'll build up. Maybe someday we'll open up at 7, and we'll close at 11, but not now. It's not, I'm not here to compete. I'm just here to show that we're here and allow people to, manage their time accordingly to come see us. What am I going to do? Stay open another 4 hours for another 4 knuckleheads to come in and fuck with me? No. why I don't sell mushrooms and tobacco. That shit makes people angry and fucked up. You know what I mean? They're like, I need my fucking nicotine, bitch. Or they're like, hey man, do you know where I am right now? And I'm like, yeah, bro, you're in my store. They're like, you got mushrooms? I'm like, no, but I know a guy that does, and they're good. You know what I mean?
And he's outside.
That's right. The door. I mean, if I enjoyed smoking cigarettes and using mushrooms, maybe I would sell them, but I never had good experiences with either one. So it's just not something that, is cannabis is enough to research and develop and manage. I can't imagine having to do cigarettes and mushrooms too. That's a whole nother ball game. If you're selling something, you want to be passionate into it. And I'm not there yet, but
Yeah, don't worry. I'll sell the mushrooms.
that's right, buddy. That's what I mean. You got to find the right connections to be able to sell the right product, right? And people will be like, "Hey, have you tried these?" And I'll be like, "Fuck no, never," and I never will. I tried that once. Sterling fucking hooked me up one night, and that was based off like an angry moment. Like I remember I used to hang out with all of our buddies, and everyone would drop the acid in the sugar cube, and we'd all cheers and do this, and I was this guy throwing it over my shoulder, you know, scared to death to take it, and then I would pretend to trip. So I remember Sterling found out that I would been faking it the whole time, and he came up, and I was at this toga party at Luke Costa's house, right? This is a long time ago, man. And I'm naked in the toga, and Stiffy fucking shows up, and he's like, dude, he's like, bro, you gotta hang out with me. We're gonna eat these mushrooms, and me and you are gonna be the best buddies. We're gonna go camping. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, me and you, bro. He's like, I gotta drive, so you just take these now. That way I can make sure you're cool, and then I'll take mine when we get to the campsite. And I was like, for real? He's like, yeah, bro. Like, dude, it's me and you. I love you, man. I'm like, okay, dude. And I love this kid. I was like, all right, man, I fucking love you too. Fuck it. If I'm gonna do this for the first time, it's definitely gonna be with my boy, right? So I ate them, and he sat there and waited for me to eat them. And then he's like, all right, open your mouth. Let me see. And I'm like, and he's like, all right, have fun, motherfucker. That's for fucking faking it all this time. Peace. And he left me. And by the time I came out of that trip, it was Easter, but it could have been the next day. But I remember laying in my parents' living room on the couch, and the fucking trees were still growing inside the house, like coming into the window and growing up on the ceiling and like coming down into the couch on my legs. And I'm like, holy fuck, when is this going to end? And my dad came down the stairs, and instantly everything stopped. Like Kenny sobered me up when I heard his feet fucking coming down the stairs. And he's like, come on, get dressed. It's Easter. And I'm like, holy shit, it's Easter. So I'm at church next to my mom, and I'm like, I look over at her. She's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I'm tripping my balls off. She's like, Thomas, don't look at your father. And like, I kind of did the look over at my dad, and he looked right at me. He's like, he probably didn't even do that. He probably waved at me, but I saw like, you know what I mean? And I was like, I left. I was like, I gotta go, mom. And I left. I was gone. Fucking, I don't even know how I got back home. I don't even really remember what happened. I just remember finally, everything stopped moving. And I was like, wow, how long was that? But it was only probably like 9 hours, but it felt like
16 years.
Yeah, 16 years, right? So that's why, like, I don't really dabble in mushrooms. I would definitely microdose, but I wouldn't dabble in them.
I like how you brought that all the way around there. Yeah. I want to go back before you get me too far off track. We're gonna do a couple of anecdotes at the end, but I wanted to ask you about since you've had this experience in the security world in America. There's all this talk about the Safe Banking Act, which would allow people to safely store their money or get loans. Really, people already have bank accounts. Are you guys allowed to use the banks? How does the banking work up there? What
Yeah,
do you guys have to transport a lot of cash? And
yeah, definitely. That's I started with regular POS system purchasing, but I've now transitioned into cash only for our stores. And that has a lot to do with the amount of money I'm charged just to handle a POS system from these companies that understand what I'm doing and what I'm trading, and so they charge me a lot of money to kind of manage and hide that from the bank.
What type of POS system do you use?
We used a POS system called Brothers Processing out of Montreal. And so, they make sure that our purchases are processed accordingly, and then we get the funds, the next morning. But it costs around $4,200 a month just to use.
Whoa.
Yeah, right. And it's based off your sales. So the more sales you get, the more money they make, right? So I'm paying more to the POS system peeps than I am in my regular rent a month. You know what I mean? So it's like, that
Wow.
that was a huge overhead cost, so I'm like, "Okay, let's just," and the reason why we didn't do cash at first is because handling that amount of cash is definitely somebody seeing that as like the things go inside their head where they're like, I wonder if how much I could get from these guys if I robbed them on this day," or you know what I mean? Like, people watch us all the time. Um, and they wonder about us. So we've definitely gotten the respect of the community though now. So we've transitioned out. We're now cash only in Highfield, and we're cash only. We started cash only at Burning Tree. So we have ATMs on site though. I do have ATMs on site. Usually they're like the $3 charge, but I didn't go on my end. The people who drop the ATMs, they cover their charge for $1.50, and I think I tacked on like 50 cents for us. So like, they're definitely, there's some people that come into our stores just to use our ATM because it's a cheaper fee than the regular at the gas station, right?
Wow.
That's it's so that when we went to cash system, they're not going to the ATM and getting the fee out of that, right? And actually, we give out like free pre-rolls when they use cash. We're like, hey, you're going to use cash, free pre-rolls. So we hand those out a lot. That's kind of like a thing that we do at random to our customers. If they're spending over like $200, we're like throwing free shit in there for them. We're like, hey man, you guys are the bomb, here you go, enjoy that, we'll see you next week. And they're like, fuck that, we'll see you tomorrow. This is
That's
from
cool. Yeah. You're not allowed to do that at licensed dispensaries here. And, but
yeah,
word up to them tribal privileges.
I know,
Fuck
right? It's
yeah.
crazy, right?
But
That's
it's a nice touch. And I know a lot of business owners here in Vermont would love to be able to do shit
yeah,
like that. And it
yeah,
seems silly that you can't.
yeah, I know. And I noticed that instead they have these huge concert, they have these like what is it, like get-togethers, they all get together and they have these parties. Do they charge for that? Is that anything that they like? What is all that about?
That's a gray area.
That's a
Some of the events, if you like say you had private property, right?
yeah,
You could throw a big event out there, and as long as the landowner ain't gonna fucking drop a dime on you, you're all set. No
yeah,
one's really gonna fuck with you. But technically, it's not legal. As soon as you get a license, you're no longer allowed to give out samples for free. There's a certain amount that you can give to your employees or something,
yeah,
I believe,
yeah,
but you're not allowed to just give it out to customers because then the
yeah.
state doesn't get a slice of that tax revenue.
I know, what the fuck, man. That's actually one thing we do at our treaty truck houses as well with our all of our employees, including security, when they work every day. They get a free gram at the end of the day. So it allows them to be able to taste the product and be able to sell it to somebody on the real. They're like, hell yeah, I tasted that last night. This shit was bomb.
Yeah,
Or like,
yeah,
no, that shit's not that good. You should try this shit. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
when they do that and they test it, because I'm not I get my employees to test it for me to make sure that it's quality and that it's doing the right thing. So if anything is like black ash, and they're like, "Hey, man, that the ash was like wicked black in that product that I tried last night," I take it right off the shelf and send it right back and get a credit for it, and I get something different. And I make sure that people who come in, they're like, yeah, that kind of burned like the black and it kept going out. I'm like, really? Like, how much left do you have of that? And they're like, this is how much I have left because I didn't really smoke it because it was kind of shit. And I was like, all right, we'll pick something else on the menu and I'll trade it up even for you. It doesn't matter. Like, get whatever you want on the menu. And they're like, what? You can do that? And I'm like, you can do it here. You can't do that at NSLC, but fuck yeah, for sure. If you spend, $190 on an ounce and you smoked a little and it's fucking shit and it's burning black and it's going out, like, For sure. We'll definitely make it right. You know, anything. A vape cartridge goes out, stops working. I don't care if you're halfway done. You come in and get a brand new one and load up. You know what I mean? We want to have our customers have the best experience. So if we have to cut a loss here and there, to make sure that they have the best experience, and that's what we want to accomplish for them. You know?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Um, a couple more for you. It sounded like you maybe mentioned at some point your bank accounts were shut down, or they tried to shut your bank accounts down.
Yeah. They shut me the fuck down, man. They found.
Oh, whoa, shit. Sorry. Well, I accidentally muted you. Could you start that over?
Yeah, I made a purchase, actually in the United States, for a company that sells software to specific cannabis retail space, right? So that's who I do my inventory and tracking with. Um, I won't say who they are, but it's definitely a well-known company that's out of Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, California.
Metric.
Yeah, so right, so I made a purchase of the equipment. After I purchased the equipment, I got an email from my bank that was like, "Hey, there's this fishy purchase. Like, if this was you, click this button, and if you think this is fishy." So I didn't click the button. I just, I was like, "Yeah, sure, I bought that shit, whatever." And then, one day, one of my credit cards that I used on that froze, and there were funds in there, and I was trying to use it, and it was declining, and I went to the bank, and I was like, "Hey, my card keeps declining. Can you see what's up?" And, they're at the teller, and they're all like, they show the next teller next to them, like, "What is this?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's it." And they're like, "Well, you just have to call this number, and they'll handle it from there." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, thanks, I appreciate that." What is this number to? And they're like, "Oh, that's the investigations line of the bank." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I sat there on hold for like 2 hours a day just trying to get through to these guys, and they're just on hold all day long. So I don't have time for that shit. So I kind of moved on and to my other credit cards, and I was like, I'll just try this credit card, and that one was frozen, and then the next one was frozen, and then my bank accounts were frozen, and then my wife got a letter in the mail saying that they regret to inform that they're ending their relationship with me. And since I'm like, she's my wife, like that includes her as well. So these are like, car loans and personal loans and lines of credit, so they came after me for about a week and a half. And, they're like, "Hey, you owe us like $130,000 in 30 days. Like, here you go. We want our shit back, or we're gonna seize, the properties and
Whoa.
send you to collections." But I'm really lucky. I have a good support team of partners that I work with every single day, that help me run my business, and provide product for my business. And it's not like I ran out to them and I was like, "Oh my God, they shut me down." I'm like, "Hey guys, we need another credit card because all mine are locked." They're like, "What do you mean?" And then I told them, they're like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, by the way, like I'm not going to be able to pay for anything with my credit anymore." And they're like, "Oh shit." And I told them what happened, and that, these banks are coming after me and they're going to take my shit. And they're like, "Don't worry about that. Like, we'll buy all the shit, and, we'll
Wow.
help you out." So I was really lucky to be able to get that support. Cause those letters freaked the hell out of my wife, man. She's a really hardworking nurse. So the last thing she needs is any bank account shutting down or credit card shutting down. Right.
Uh,
So, um,
hey,
you know,
buddy, we got a question. Can I slide this question in?
let it right in.
This is from Gabriel Garrett again. Loving the interview. He asks, "What's the biggest regulatory roadblocks you have from either the Canadian government or I think that's supposed to say, or the province?"
Yeah, luckily, I haven't had any roadblocks. I've actually, um, I've taken my time and I've spoken a certain way and used our language and our treaties to specifically gain, insurance and building permits, and met in person and talked over the phone. I never, if they were like, "Hey, we need to meet with you. We need to talk to you about the business that you're building, and what's going on and what you're building, and these are the things that are required." I came down right away in person. I dealt with the building permit inspectors, worked with the electricians. I worked with anything and everything that came as a roadblock in my way. And, that's kind of like where I felt like I was in the Truman Show. Like it just seemed like everything was coming together, and anything that I said, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I tell them, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, that's all we need. And you're good, right?" So, um, there was two roadblocks that came right after I opened. The CRA called me, Canada Revenue Agency, and they reiterated, to say like, congratulations, you're up and running. By the way, you don't have to pay taxes if you don't make more than $30,000. But anything you make over $30,000 is applicable to taxes. I see that you're an Indigenous treaty truck house. What is that? Can you explain it to me? I explained it to them, just like I explained tonight. And they were like really cool about it. And, they're just, okay, we just wanted to make sure we checked in. And I think they were trying to get me to slip up and be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Fuck you. And I didn't, I used the same language that I spoke in the beginning of the conversation. Cause I knew all these people who were calling me were recording me. Right. So I stayed on script and I stayed on track. And if they tried to pull me off track, I pulled them back in. And I was really, really smart. And for the first time in my life, I just shut my mouth. And it just, I kind of just answered the only questions they were asking. I didn't elaborate on anything. I wasn't like, oh yeah, and I sell, Tootsie Roll Pops to the kids outside too. I give those away for free. Like I didn't do that. I just answered their question. That was it. Bing, bada, boom. See you later. Goodbye. And I paid a well-known cannabis lawyer, Jack Lloyd. He's out of Ontario. He's a well-known cannabis lawyer. He knows cannabis law really well, and he helped me structure the business corporation that I run. It's specifically structured a certain way that, you know, if police or anybody is investigating me, they're investigating a legitimate company, which I am. So I made the company totally legitimate. I have legitimate corporations, business insurance, tax numbers. I pay my employees well above a minimum wage. Starting them at like $20 an hour. And I'm working on setting them up with benefits as well through life insurance too. So I have a number of connections in the Halifax local area with a lot of business people that know what I'm doing, and they're like, you know what, we want to be on board with this. We want to be one of the companies that helps you, and we understand it's a gray area, but what you told us is true, and we looked it up and we researched it as well on our side, and you're absolutely right. You do have the right to trade with us, and I don't need permission from the Canadian government when it comes to our sovereignty and what we have the abilities and rights to do and trade to the best of our advantage. So in that aspect, the only like the real like roadblocks that I would have gotten if I didn't go through all this bullshit in my life and be prepared for this moment was the gangbangers and the motorcycle club members that came into my business. And they were like, hey, you're gonna pay us $2,000 a month, all right? And that's it. And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, and I never will. And I don't care where you're from, and I don't care who you are. This is a business that I built with my family, and this is for community. And fuck the man. And we're here to start a new paradigm and help people understand what Indigenous people could have done since the beginning in terms of supporting the community. So once you get these gangbangers and these motorcycle club members on your side in terms of saying like, yeah, we're a legitimate business, we give affordable prices, but we're here for our people. Like we're not just like doing this to make $1 billion. We're doing this to help the community out. So like, if you're fucking with us, you're fucking with the whole community, and they came around, after the presidents of the motorcycle clubs came in because they're prospects. I didn't fret with them. I said, get the fuck out. And the next time you come and show up like that, I'm going to call the cops. And that was like mind blowing to them. They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, this is a legitimate business. I did everything that every other business like Tim Hortons and Abercrombie and Fitch did to start their business in Canada. I did that with my business too. So right now, like you're threatening like a Tim Hortons. You might as well go in Tim Hortons and tell them to fucking pay you $2,000 a month. You know what I mean? That's not how I am. So I know for a fact the reason why they came in was they thought I was affiliated with a certain person that owned a dispensary on Reserve.
Ah,
Won't mention their name, but they came in thinking that I was a front and that I was just running this store for that specific person that they had rivalries with. And after I kiboshed that, assumption, they came around, and it was kind of lucky. One of the guys, the motorcycle members that I knew, he was like, "Man, do I know you?" I'm like, "Yeah, you do know me." He's like, "Why do I know you?" I'm like, "Well, like 10 years ago, my sister lives across the street from your buddy. And, I saw all those guys coming out of that house way back in the day, and I knew something was up and it smelled like really good reefer. So I went over and I said, I knocked on the door, you know, like I was in Lyndonville, Vermont. And I was like, "Hey, what's up? Can I get some herb?" And they were like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let me get some." And they're like, "Yeah, come on in." And I walked in and it was like a whole mess of biker guys. And they're like, "Take off your clothes, bend over, spread your ass cheeks," right? It was a scary situation. And I
damn.
did everything they did. And they're like, "All right, give them an ounce, get the fuck out of here." And, I ended up befriending their son who worked on cars. I had a shitty car at the time. So I went over, I'm like, "Hey man, can you help me with my car?" He's like, "Yeah, for sure." So we kind of geared it up. I mean, I didn't gear it up. I kind of faked it. I kind of just went over there and was like, "Hey buddy, can you help me out?" And he was like, "Yeah, for sure." So when I saw this guy, he was like, "Holy shit, you're the guy that did all those voices," and was like totally retarded like every single time I was over there. "Man, you're a funny son of a bitch. You're a cool guy. I like you. I know, I remember. Yeah, I know who you are now. You're a good guy." So it's kind of a coincidence, like all these roadblocks that I've gotten into, or I've had some sort of connection with that roadblock or some avenue that I was able to get past that roadblock. But nothing from the government yet. I know that, they're probably back there working in a room saying, "You know what to do? No, you know what to do? You're going to do something. I don't know. You're going to do something. This guy," like they're probably going around in circles. Like, what are we going to get him on? He's not selling cigarettes. He's not selling mushrooms. He's a nice guy. He's giving back to community. Like he's giving away free stuff. He's giving away water and apples and granola bars. Like, what the fuck? What are we going to do? So I've made it. And it wasn't on purpose. I'm not doing all these things to make these guys their jobs hard. I'm doing it just because that's what I think a normal human being that has empathy for another human being would want to do with this type of opportunity. And that's what we're here to do.
Well said, my friend. Before we get out of here, you mentioned a couple of friends that you had that we were talking about maybe bringing on the show. Would you like to talk about them at all a little bit?
Yeah. There's three gentlemen. The first one is a gentleman that I met at Micmac Rights Association. His name is Tom Kiefer. And this guy is a huge academic. He comes from a family of academics and professors in English and philosophy and political science, and criminal law. So this guy is like a huge support when it comes to the legality of things, researching any question that I have, even those questions that, I'm just like, I have no idea. I've tried to Google it. This guy, Tom Kiefer, he finds everything, but he's also a scribe writer for a Grand Chief, Delbert Riley. Delbert Riley was National Grand Chief, Grand Chief of the Indian Brotherhood. And he worked in the Constitutional Conference with Pierre Trudeau. He opened up a office right across the street from Buckingham Palace, to show the world that he is a sovereign man, and he is there to protect sovereign Indigenous rights. So since the 70s, this guy's been protecting our rights and writing in constitutions on how to secure and protect those rights. And another guy is Pudis Hector Picto, National Grand Chief He sat on a constitutional conference as well, with Pierre Trudeau and those guys, and he was actually one who saved and wrote in a lot of the First Nation women's rights. Because back in the day, if you were an Indigenous man and married a white woman, she would get, status, full status, taken care of. But an Indigenous woman marrying outside an Indigenous man, like a white man or any non-Indigenous man, she lost her status, right? So it's kind of crazy when you think and you research the our ancestral lines and who actually was the hierarchy in our tribes. It was actually the women before the colonizers came. These mother these clan mothers took care of each tribe and helped move us when we needed to move with the food. They gathered the men together and showed them, where we need to go hunt and how long we should hunt and how much food we have left until we need more food. So they were a matriarch of the tribe. And when the colonizers came, they're like, that's not how it goes. Like these, we need a chief, we need a boss, we need a male boss. Enough of this clan mother stuff. Like, get out of here with that. Our women stay home and they do as we tell them to do, and they do whatever we want, and they take care of the kids, and that's it. That's their job. And Native Americans were like, yeah, well, that's, we treat our women with respect. And this guy, before he even, finishes his sentence, his head's blown off, or, he's murdered brutally in front of his tribe. And, they look at that and they're like, anybody else have any questions? And, everyone bows down to that type of, tool that is used for war, right? That's an instant kill. And Native Americans weren't used to that, right? So, they had to change and adapt to a lot of the way the colonizers came, and they pretended, oh, we're here to help, and yeah, we need your help. Basically, when they came over, they were all sick and dying from running ship over across the ocean there. And so when they came over, we took care of them and, nurtured them back to health. We showed them where to fish and when to fish and how to fish. And if you go into the Halifax Archives Library in downtown Halifax, they actually have journals of these gentlemen that would sit and observe First Nation people and how they fished and, what they fished and what they traded and how they moved, right? And how intelligent they were with the land, right? And that they knew a lot. So, when our fights became to the point where, the colonizers said, hey, we got all these guns, we got all these guys, but we're still fucking dying here. Like these guys are like hiding in trees and they like fight in the dark and like what the hell's going on? So, they signed this peace and friendship treaty in 1752, you know, to save themselves because they knew Mi'kmaq were war fierce. We were like, we fought to the death, and we were one of the strongest Native American tribes out there in terms of, fighting for our people and protecting them. So, they signed the 1752 treaty, probably thinking like, oh yeah, we'll kill these guys in a couple of years, or maybe, they definitely won't make it past the 1800s or something, or 1900s or something like that. And, we're still here. We've always been here and we always will be here. And that's how strong we are. Even with all the trauma and shit our people have gone through, that treaty, those ancestors of ours were so smart. They knew this moment in 2023 was our moment because, they knew how good the trade markets were. Like if you had the ability to trade, then, you could self-sustain. And that's what we're looking to prove. Like we can fish and we can hunt and we can sell and we can trade, and we don't need really any of the government's help as long as we're doing it together and we're doing it right. So it's kind of like what I'm trying to do now is take back what our ancestors gave us our rights to. Not a lot of people understand those rights. They don't care about it. It's a 1752 treaty back in the day. They're like, whatever, that was way back when. This is 2023. We must change this now to shadow the modern world. But No, there was a reason why they wrote those treaties specifically in the language they did, because they knew that someday, we were down here, but as long as we kept this treaty and these rights, our power would grow. And it's growing right now, and we're doing okay. A lot of people are still suffering, but the ones who continue to fight and continue to challenge are the ones who are succeeding. So, it doesn't matter how many times they come at us. We're just going to come back, just like we always have.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Tommy, I think I'm about out of shit here.
Right.
I always leave the last word for my guests too. And actually, after I'm actually gonna steal your last word and ask you to do a little favor for me after your last word. But
Okay.
yeah, I love you, buddy. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I wish you the best of luck up there. I'm really pulling for you, my man. But if there's anything we missed, any shameless plugs or shout outs you want to do, now is the time. And then before we clock out, I'm going to just ask you a tiny favor.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think the only shout out I have right now is to you, Caleb, for putting this on, for giving me the opportunity to speak, to ask me the questions, and to really work together and setting this interview up and making it feel really comfortable, and very respectful. You're doing really good things. You were always that guy that was super smart. You're the super nerd, man, in our group, and you always were. But you were also a warrior with us too. You didn't give a fuck. You were ready to throw it down all the time. And that's what I love about you. No matter what anyone said to you growing up, you were like, yeah, fuck you, bitch. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And you're going to sit there and and not like it. And I could give two shits. But, as long as you're passionate with it, and you always took it home to yourself, and you made sure that, you stood your ground. So, and that was all the way even tripping sometimes. I remember that time I found you, bro. You were still standing your ground, and you still survived that shit, right? And I remember being like, this kid is like a fucking comic book character. Nothing can kill this guy. And you think you would have came back a little bit special, but you came back even smarter, and your mind was more open. You know what I mean? And maybe Christine Denby helped you with that night. But
No, she did not.
No, I guarantee she didn't. Fucking Jesus Mobile. That was like a bad dream. Like throwing, you like try and help your friend and throw him in the mystery machine with Scooby Doo, and you get out of there. We just threw you in the back of Christine's Jesus Mobile. We're like, good luck with that kid. And
where she told me I was possessed by a demon and I needed to give my life to Jesus.
Yeah.
I just remember the whole ride home. I was just like, fuck you.
Right, wherever you are. No, but I really appreciate you, man. And I hope I get another chance to come back on your show with a couple other guests and friends of mine. I think, this is a platform that needs to be here and should be here for life. And I can't wait to see it grow, man.
Yeah, that'd be my pleasure, dude. Anytime. We'll definitely get that lined up. Now, before we clock out, this is the last time where I'm going to interrupt the last word with my own thing, but you used to do the voiceover for my last podcast.
That's right.
And I always check out here. Let's pull this up here. That's a little aggressive. We don't need that much. Whoa. How do we do it? There we go. I would like you. I always sign off by saying my signature slogan. I've created a little banner at the bottom that I'm going to pop up here in a minute. And I was wondering if you would give us a nice movie voiceover voice and read my signature tagline at the end here, and sign us off.
Okay.
And once again, for everyone at home, it's Tommy Durfee, CEO, owner of Amu Leaf and Burning Leaf in Nova Scotia. And here we go. I'm gonna read this across here. I'm gonna flash it across the bottom. Oh, look, bang! That's my checkout line. I was hoping you would read that in a sexy voiceover voice, and we're gonna leave it right there.
Okay, here we go. The devil is in the details, and the details are in the fine print.